Hey, thank you all so much for joining another episode of Celeste, the Therapist Podcast. My name is Celeste. I'm a therapist from Boston. I have a special guest. I'm going to have her introduce herself to you all.
Hi, everybody. I am Laurel Stuart. I am from the beautiful island of Barbados, but for the last 14 years, I have lived in Canada. I am an acupuncturist, a yoga therapist, and a massage consultant.
Nice. Thank you for being here. Prior to us going live, you shared that it's 0 degrees, which isn't bad. I had to say that out loud because that was wild. And the
The
reason
sun
why,
is shining. It's beautiful.
hey, you know what, Laurel, perspective is everything. And a week ago, you were dealing with negative 50 degrees. So, I mean, when you put it into perspective, 0
It's
is great.
awesome.
I can't get over that. So, as you stated, you are from Barbados. Can you share with my audience a little bit about your upbringing?
So I grew up, I was raised in an extended family with my aunts and my uncles. Everybody was around. And I grew up watching my grandparents use traditional medicines. All the women in my mother's generation are teachers. And my mother encouraged us to have open mindedness when it came to things that were unfamiliar. So it was very easy for me to want to, especially because I was diagnosed with diabetic at the age of 7, it was very easy for me to want to learn about what other cultures had in terms of healing.
That's good, because that's not traditionally the way people grow up. Being open-minded and especially when it comes to healing. So you was diagnosed with diabetes at a young age,
Yes, I was at the age
and
of 7.
was insulin a part of it as well?
Yes, it is. Because I'm a type
Oh,
1 diabetic, so I've used insulin all my life. But Eastern medicines have greatly improved the quality of my life.
okay. So now you're in Barbados with an extended family, which is great. And in America, unfortunately, that's not the way that I know other cultures, families and aunts, everybody kind of lives around each other. Here, I think we create this very individualistic society that really messes up our mental health, unfortunately. But you had that available. And so you've seen a lot of things that weren't about just going to the hospital, getting a prescription. You've seen other methods of healing.
Yes, I watched my grandmother also had diabetes. I watched her use herbs for like everything. There was a bush tea in the fridge, and I didn't have to take it, but like my uncles, my mom, my grandfather, when they were really sick, he would give them a spoonful of shark oil to actually like just help to clear congestion from their chest. And like even when I was sick, like my grandmother would go outside and get leaves from whatever tree that she knew was
That's
medicinal.
so amazing to me.
Yeah, and she would. These are the things that I just. It was just second nature for me. I was.
Yeah. Yeah, you were very fortunate. I mean, as an adult, I'm learning about these ways. I always think about how herbalists and people in America, they call them like quack doctors, but they're not getting a kickback from the herbs. That no one can patent the herbs, so nobody's pushing the herbs because it's not able to be patented. But there's a lot of healing in these kind of traditional ways. So you went to school, born and raised in Barbados. Did you end up going to college out there?
Yes, that's why I came to Canada. I came to study traditional Chinese medicine. Unfortunately, I can't study it in the Caribbean, so I had
Oh,
to. I
okay.
didn't want to go all the way over to China. I felt like that would have been too much of a culture shock for me, traveling halfway around the world. So I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm just going to stop in Canada. There are Chinese teachers here, some really amazing Chinese teachers. So, yeah, that's how I ended up in Canada.
Wait, but what made you decide the Chinese medicine route? What made you do that kind of uh, route of going into school? Because am I correct in believing like as far as culturally, would they have wanted you to do something more traditional, like doctor or lawyer?
Yeah, but to a certain extent, but they never, my family really allowed me to explore my
That's
life.
good.
They really did. So I was very fortunate to
Yeah.
have a, like, as long as, as long as I wasn't like doing crazy stuff, out doing drugs,
Yeah.
I was living, I was a nice law abiding citizen.
Yep. Yep. Oh,
I could
that's
explore
good.
these things.
Yeah. Okay, so because of the way you've seen things, you do your own research and said I want to explore more this different type of medicine?
So my love for Chinese medicine came from my love for Eastern philosophies, Eastern practices of health, which started because of my diabetes. So by
Yeah.
the time I hit my teens, I knew I had to do something to take care of my health. And I started to go to the gym in my late teens, but the energy just didn't really resonate with me.
Hmm.
I found it really boring.
Hmm.
And that's just me. Sometimes it works for people, but it just didn't work for me. So I was like, you know what, let me try this yoga thing. And I bought a video. It was like a 45-minute power yoga video, and I couldn't even get through like the first 20 minutes. I was like sweating profusely. And like, I'm just, all right, I'm done. Okay, I'm sure I sweat enough. I burned calories. This is good. But I stuck with it because I knew I had to do something for my health.
Yeah.
So, and from that, I kind of fell in love with it. There were times that I actually found a lady who taught yoga on the island because there weren't many.
Yeah.
I would take class and I would come home and then I'd go do more yoga poses. I just wanted the high from the deep breath because it releases good hormones in our body.
It does.
And I just wanted that high. And so I ended up studying yoga deeply. And I was like, well, if yoga is this awesome to me, what else does the East have to offer in terms of wellness? And
Oh.
that is how I got into traditional Chinese medicine.
Well, Laurel is you have a yoga studio, you're like everything about you, you embody yoga, but if you hear her, she literally just said when she first started it, the first 20 minutes, she was like, "No, this is it. It was too hard." And I think a lot of people, anytime I'm trying to share with people about different ways to change their system and what they used to do and trying to introduce new ways, I say it's going to be hard. What caused you to stick with it despite that first time? Because that's something that a lot of people struggle with doing because it feels hard.
A commitment to myself to better my life and to improve my health. I grew up listening to my neighbors and some members of my families. Like, it's bad. We call Barbados, like they used to call Barbados, the amputation capital of the
Oh.
world. Like when you don't take care of your diabetes, you lose a limb. Like, that's
Oh.
not happening to me. So I
Oh.
might not, and I think, and I see it as a gift. I see my diabetes as a gift because I don't think I would have maybe studied health the way I did.
You did. Yeah.
I saw it, and it's been a beautiful gift because the things that I see, the energetic healing that I see, and the herbal medicines and what I know how they work, it's amazing. And that is why I wrote energetic, and that's been made easy because I think that, especially in our communities that are unfamiliar with Eastern medicine, we need to know about the benefits that this medicine, these practices have to offer.
Hmm. Yeah, no, you're right. It's interesting the way you describe it as a gift, and also it sounds like you kept your goal in front of you. Unfortunately, it was easy for you to keep it because it sounds like there's a lot of people with amputees, uh, and so you knew that's something you didn't want. So because you didn't want it, you knew you needed to try something different, and your commitment to yourself, that's something, whether it's yoga or anything else that people are trying to work on. And I think some of the things we want to change, whether it's our mindset, whether it's our mood, we can't see it in real time. But I think if we can hold on to making a commitment to ourselves and our goal, I think that can be the thing that can like keep pushing us to maintain our consistency with what we say we want to do.
Yes, it is. It is that commitment.
Yeah, that's powerful. So now you're in Canada, even though it's not going to China, it's still a culture shock, I'm sure.
It was.
Was it French mostly? Did people speak mostly French?
No, I'm in an English speaking province.
Oh, nice. Okay. All right.
Well, there is French here as well,
Yeah.
but where I live, there's more English.
Okay. So now you go there for college, learning this new way of giving out medicine. What was that experience like for you?
It was incredible to see how using needles, like putting needles into the body, using acupuncture was so healing. Like to watch my mentors work and to watch people get better. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes, people think about acupuncture and they're like, oh, that's quackery. Like, what is that stuff? But it has been around for millennia. It's been around for thousands of years, and it has to be a reason. If it was all quackery, it would have been dropped, I think, by now.
A long time ago.
So it was beautiful to be submerged in
Nice.
this form of energetic healing. It was also, on the other hand, very difficult for me to be away from my family because I grew up again like in an extended family. My family was here. I remember when I first moved from like my mom's home. It took me like a week to get out the house. I just didn't really want to. I was moving in with my boyfriend at the time, and I just didn't really want to go. I was like, you know what? I'm really happy right here. So to pick up and come to Canada,
it's a lot.
Think about it was like, wow, that's kind of a
risk.
It was a big shift. It was a big shift. It was worth it. It was worth it for the things that I've learned for sure, and the things that I can share.
Oh, that's so awesome. So now you're in school, you finish school, and then what happens after that for you as far as your journey? Because you're an entrepreneur now, and you're doing really great things. But how did you get to that point to working for yourself in this way?
Because I wanted to combine yoga into my traditional Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
I kind of had to branch out on my own. And I just wanted to be able to combine those two things deeply in my work.
Yeah.
I think I can do it anywhere in the world, but I'm just still here in Canada because there's so much still to learn.
Oh, okay. And you knew you wanted to do yoga and combine that medicine together. You knew it sounds like you knew it's something you had to do on your own. There's not really like a lot of traditional places that allows that type of work full time.
Yes, I do believe I would eventually build a clientele in Barbados. Mm-hmm. I really believe that, but I'm still learning.
Yeah. And then you start because you opened your studio back in 2006, right? 2000.
Yes.
So around that time, I feel like now yoga is very popular. Back in 2006, it wasn't as like what you're doing now. It's very much not. It's always needed, but it's very much more acceptable than it was back then. That was a risky move that you did to take that route.
That is true. It's interesting because I used to work as a school teacher, like all the women in my family. And I took, and my heart wasn't there. Yeah. My spirit wasn't there. And I remember taking the yoga training because that was my honeymoon yoga stage. Mm-hmm. And I came back and I was like, all right, this is kids' education. You get yourself together. You do what you got to do. Do your work. And within the first week of that school term, I was so sick. I got so sick. And I was like, I think this is the universe telling me it's time for you to change jobs. So
Wow.
after that school year, I was out. I That's when I opened the yoga studio in 2006.
Wow. So, Laurel has mentioned the word energy and energetic, starting with the gym and saying like she felt different. And then now, like physically, it sounds like you responded, you paid attention to your body and what it was trying to tell you. So as you can tell, she's very much into energy and also just published a book in December 2023. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell people about energy. Like when you think of the word energy, like how do you describe it? Because I always tell people energy is everywhere, whether good or bad. And I don't think people realize how deep it can get or how important it is because people don't see it in real time, and it's often ignored.
I really like what you said. Energy is everywhere. And
Yeah.
that is actually a broader definition of the word energy. So qi in Chinese medicine is considered energy. It's the ability to function,
Yep.
but at the same time, everything in our universe is a form of energy.
Hmm.
And when we know more about our energy, we are better able to change our energy, and our energy affects our physical health.
It
Our
does.
emotions affect our physical health.
Yeah.
And when we know more about our energy, we can transform negative emotions into more positive ones, or we can at least we know where to start to do these things.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, I agree. And because we're not like, I'm big on emotions. I talk about emotions a lot and how, the emotion, the thoughts happen, the emotions happen, and then the feeling, and then people's behavior. And I tell people we have power to create change, but we were never taught to pay attention to what's happening. And so for people, even though I'm a talk therapist, I'm a very holistic person where I bring in the body. And so I tell people sometimes, like, you may not logically know, you may not be able to like name it, verbalize it, but I promise you, you can feel it. Is that a way? I mean, do you agree with that kind of mindset of being able to feel what's happening in real time if you're paying attention to your body and how it's responding?
Yes. When we are still, when we can be still and just try not to embrace like some all those thoughts, because the nature of the mind is to just constantly chat.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
And if we can get underneath that,
Yeah.
we can come closer to our authentic self.
Yes.
Who we are, what do we need?
Yeah.
And the beauty of Eastern traditions is that they kind of help us realize too, like, what do these specific emotions do to our body? Or do I have a weakness in a specific organ? Are my emotions affecting that? Like in traditional Chinese medicine, fear is commonly associated with the kidneys, over worry with the digestive system. Like, think about when you're stressed out about something, do you really have
Yeah.
appetite?
Hmm.
Grief deeply affects our lungs, and heart is associated with joy.
Yep. And these are the, as Laurel is talking about the different body parts. And even like I was diagnosed with the autoimmune disease, and the more it's in my liver, and the more I looked into it and the spiritual meaning behind it and how you can hold on to emotions and it's stored there. And it was just so eye-opening because I didn't expect for the doctor to tell me that, but it's just so interesting how the insurance only allows us to in America use our insurance on doctors that have this MD license that is they're taught to treat the symptoms, not get to the root of it. And even if like I have a flare up, I was told that steroids is the only option. And it's kind of like because of all the knowledge I have, I didn't take that at face value and did my own research. And when you talk about how energy is created in the anatomy, tell me about where you got the book idea from because it's very When I say unconventional, I mean in America and other countries, I know is very conventional. But where did you get the idea to create that book? Because it's an important topic, obviously, as we're talking about it now.
So it's interesting. This morning, my aunt sent me this little quote. We are here to heal and not hurt. We are here to create and not destroy. So the book was just coming out of me. It just had to come out of me. And it started with my own curiosity as a yoga teacher. Because when I got into yoga, then I started reading more, and I'm seeing these ancient texts with these drawings of these energy centers and thinking to myself, what does this have to do with me?
Everything.
Yes. And and the way they taught it, it can be very good for some people. But for me, I felt like my understanding was not deep enough. So I just settled on this path. Like, I need to understand this stuff for myself. So Energetic Anatomy Made Easy was written for people who know a little about their energy, people who know nothing about their energy, and they want to learn more. And even for folks who may know a little something, but they feel a little bit stuck in their understanding, this book, Energetic Anatomy Made Easy, gives folks practical ways to actually experience and understand their energetic anatomy and their energy.
Yeah. And the practical ways are needed. And I think that anytime, you've been doing things a certain way for a long time, even though it's something simple that you need to implement, it can feel hard. And I tell people it feels really hard because it's like an internal battle, because your mind and body is so used to doing things a certain way. Our mind loves consistency. It loves routine. And so when people say like, oh, I don't know how to be consistent, I'm like, yeah, you do. You've been consistently inconsistent with yourself. You know how to do it, right? But trying to change it where you're working on giving life to yourself and doing things a certain way, it feels very hard. Would you say that that's pretty accurate when you think about?
I do agree with you. And I can say to that, where our attention goes, our energy flows.
Yes.
So we need to catch ourselves and actually congratulate ourselves when these negative, like, I can't do this.
Yes.
Catch it and be like, wait,
Yes.
that's not the kind of thought I want to have right now.
Yes.
And change it. Change the dialogue.
Yes.
Change. Just start with a different thought. Start with something easy. And eventually it will build.
I love that. And, a lot of times when I'm speaking to people, like in my sessions, and they'll say something like negative, just matter of fact, and I'll pause them. And when I say it back, it's like, whoa, like it just sounds horrible. But I was like, that's what you just said. And I said, imagine the fact that you're just saying this so recklessly. That's what's going on in your mind. And I said, how do you expect change to happen? How do you expect to pay attention to what you need if your mind is only looking at the negative? And for people that are listening, it's not that you're a negative person, but the mind only has the experiences it's been exposed to. I mean, luckily for Laurel, her growing up experiences, regardless of her medical struggles, was great in regards to her ability to move in the direction that she moved. Your environment had a lot to do with it. And even if you didn't have that kind of environment, it doesn't mean you can't change, right? And even if you don't have the money to like go to somebody like Laurel, or know that like there are tools out there, YouTube, and there are people that give out free information. And that's the start of changing your mentality, because I think we always look at what we don't have and then we stop. But it's okay if we don't have it. Let's go back. Okay, I don't have the money for this, or I don't have the time. I don't have the hour for this yoga session online. By the way, I started learning yoga on YouTube. I couldn't afford a studio, and Laurel said the videotape, because back in the day we had videotapes, but now we have YouTube. Sorry. So I didn't have the money for a yoga studio, but I had YouTube, and I've always had that mentality of like I didn't get stuck in what I didn't have. I'm grateful for that mentality, but I recognize a lot of people don't. So it's important to look at what you have and start there. And there's been times where people say like, "Oh, well, I don't have an hour, but do you have 20 minutes?" Right? And so like take little by little, practically when you know what Laurel just said about the mind. I'll tell people just start with making your bed. You know what I mean? Because
Beautiful.
your mind will begin to say, "Oh, you can be consistent." Like it's a conversation. We need to start getting in tune and getting incorporated with what our thoughts, what's happening inside. It's going to happen. You can choose to ignore what's happening, but your body's going to bring you into awareness at some point. You're not going to find yourself flowing like you want to flow. And so my thought process is why not just engage in it since it's happening already? What are your thoughts about that?
I totally agree. If
What are you thinking?
so, when I first began, I was lucky enough to be able to afford like that video, and I'm happy to hear you said you started on YouTube, because I know a lot of people feel like YouTube, like, oh, I'm not sure what I'm doing, I might hurt myself. But the thing is that we live in the age where we have so much good information available to us, and yes, it does take some time to actually sift through the information,
Yeah.
but there is so much good
Yeah.
information out there
Yes.
that is free.
Yeah.
We can come on and listen to your podcasts.
Yep.
You can check out my Instagram page. I'm constantly posting stuff about chakra healing and traditional Chinese medicine on there. You just have to be willing to just put in just that little bit of research into finding tools that
Yeah.
you can use. When you look at the activities in energetic anatomy made easy, they're all things you can do in your home. I'm not asking you to go out and buy anything.
Yeah.
Some of the practices might need a teacher, but you could ignore those practices until you feel ready to commit
Yes.
in terms of investing money.
Yes. Yeah.
But there are lots of things that you can do that do not require anything other than a little bit of effort.
Yeah. Yeah. I can tell you're passionate about that piece that you just said, you know, wanting people to use what they have. I can tell by the way you just said that you really want, because the information's out there. And you know, I can't imagine waking up on social media when people talk about the start of their day, and I don't I know it's possible. I can't imagine it only because I know how energy works, and I know how starting my day, how important it is to me. And I want to be clear, I wasn't always like this. To my listeners that are maybe new, I didn't always kind of wake up and have like my routines. But I recognize me being intentional about my process allowed me to feel in control. It allowed me to have power. Do I have hard days and hard moments? Absolutely, because I'm human and it's a part of the human experience. But I don't feel debilitated all the time. I don't feel like things are always happening to me. I can feel the energy. I can feel when I'm struggling in real time as opposed to it lingering. And I feel like I'm going into a dark pit. And this is as an adult that I've created these changes. And that's why I do the work that I do and offer out so much free information and have people like you on, because I don't want people to think because I'm a therapist this happens, because I think people think that. I want them to know that it's because of the work that I put in, and it's a daily process. But now it feels like blinking my eye. At the beginning, it felt like Laura with the yoga and the 20 minutes. What am I doing? They say this is supposed to feel good. This doesn't feel good. Laurel said being still didn't feel good. I felt like I was torturing myself. Now I love stillness. I love like the quietness. I love hearing my thought, and I never want to paint healing into this like beautiful process. It's a very ugly, hard process, but I do want to share on the other side of that is the power that we all have. I'm not unique, and I just want people to understand that. And I think, thinking about Laurel's book and the practical tools that it provides, being able to understand your energy is such a great start to working on healing. Such a great start.
It is a great start, but I think you really summed it up when you said it's about being intentional. And
Mhm.
maybe at the end of your day every night, did I do something good for me? Did I give myself some self-care today? Did
Yes.
I take one tiny step
Yep.
towards my betterment?
Yep.
Because it's all the steps that add up over time,
Yes.
right? It comes from intention and awareness.
Yeah. And what Laurel said, they're all steps, right? So unfortunately, people are looking for the results and they don't want to do the steps. So the steps feel hard. But just know, in order to get to Z, you got to start at A, right? In order to get to 20, you got to start at 1. And so the more, if you could think about it like what she literally just said, I love it. They're all steps that's going to get us to our goal. Maybe that'll help you too with your commitment process.
I mentioned music in energetic anatomy made easy because I think music
Oh my
is
gosh.
so amazing to change our energy. Like they're not really doing research into this. It's like you could be depressed and
Yep.
just start to tap a tune out on your with your hands or tapping your body, and
Yeah.
that has the ability to change your
Yes.
energy. So
Yes.
sometimes when we think about changing energy, we might think that, or changing our thoughts and our attitude, we might think that this is going to take forever. I don't know if I can start. It's not forever to turn on your favorite song and get
No.
jamming.
Yeah.
And in energetic anatomy made easy, I look at each energy center and I give people ideas for the type of music that they can use. So the first energy center, our root chakra, is associated with our safety and being balanced. So
Yeah.
something you can do is listen to the music from your tribe. Listen to the
Yeah.
music from your people.
Yes.
A good drum beat
Yes.
will kind of will kind of change your vibration. It will change your resonance.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
these little things can start to change our energy.
Yeah. Yeah. You're so right. Even when I was younger, I used to listen to music all the time on the radio and like record on cassette tapes. And I remember certain songs, especially gospel songs, would really change my algorithm. And
Uh-huh.
I always tell people like, like certain songs that came out when I was dating certain people, I could hear it and be like, oh gosh, I remember that. And it's like what you're saying, if people really think about it, they're like, dang, Laurel's right. It's true because you can go back to that time frame physically, like you can even feel stuff in your stomach, or you'll be like, oh my, like you can literally go, it's like, how does that work? Because there's something powerful about it that I can't explain. Like, I'm not a researcher, but I'm glad they're researching it. But I know that's true because I know that when I'm struggling, there are certain songs that I play that just relaxes me. I feel soothing in my spirit. And the more we get these tools, the more we can use it. Kind of like people will pop a Tylenol with the headache. You could pop a tape in, like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling this way. Instead of popping a blunt or some Hennessy, you could put on that tape and then you'll feel better because you're not hungover in the morning.
Yes.
But because we don't have those tools, we do what is available to us, unfortunately.
Yes. So then we have to then encourage a bit of curiosity in ourselves to
Yes.
want to learn more. And Celeste, you really touched on it. There's so much information out there that is available for free, and I know it can be difficult to find, to
Yeah.
sift through because there's so much noise. How do
Yeah.
you find gems in the noise?
Yeah.
Listen to Celeste, the therapist.
Ah, thank you. Thank you, Laurel. It's a great start. um, and your book is another great start. I love what you're doing. I love what you're providing. I think it's important. People like you and I are really sometimes like I hate social media. I hate the spotlight, believe it or not. Like I hate it. And then I think about like all the knowledge I have and how much I feel like God wants me to like do this work. And so I keep going. And I don't think about that part. I think about what the outcomes of what I'm providing, and how a post, like I've gotten messages about podcasts and post things that just like I regurgitate. It comes natural for me because I'm always engaging in this stuff. And so I live and breathe and I feel peaceful most times because of everything that I'm doing. And because I wasn't always in this space, like I have a passion to want to see people get there. And so I'm grateful for you for sharing your story and the things that you're doing. Tell people how they can find your book.
You can find Energetic Anatomy Made Easy on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. You can find it on pretty much any major bookstore. And you can also find it on my website, dracumassage.com. That's DRACUMASSAGE.com.
Thank you. And you guys can find it in the show notes on the episode. Is there anything else you wanted to add to the dialogue? This was so good and enlightening. We think a lot alike. And we have different reasons why we ended up going in the direction we went to, but you see how it started with us. And I'm always filled with gratitude because of, how far I've been able to come with the work that I do. So
that is beautiful. And I want people to remember that however dark it may seem, it's always darkest before the dawn.
Man, that's good.
And life is positive and negative energies, and learning to walk in balance, walk in the middle, learning to just balance in between these two energies will be okay.
Yeah, it will be. I completely agree. Thank you for that. I always say after the rain, there's a rainbow. And I tell people, when they're trying to like self-medicate and drown out the pain, I say, unfortunately, we can't just drown out the pain. If you're trying to drown out the pain, you're going to drown out the potential for joy and peace. And then you're going to be numb, and that doesn't feel good. So I get that the pain is hard, and I know it's a struggle, but I also know that there's no way to just cut off one side of you. So thank you so much. This was so good. I appreciate you so much for your time and your story.
Thank you, Celeste. This was a beautiful conversation. Thank you very much for having me.